Hi, my name is Shane. You are tuning in to Gusto. On this episode of Black and Brown Time, we have HotHandz. Shout out to Fight Life Fit. Enjoy the episode. Peace!
My name is Johnny, but in Arabic, my name is pronounced Yahya, so I go by Yahya. My name is Yahya HotHandz Muhammad. I'm a professional boxer from South Central Los Angeles, and I'm also a member of the Nation of Islam.
Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing, bro?
Well, I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. I grew up on the west side of South Central Los Angeles. I grew up about I would say half a mile from USC, and it's crazy that one of the most prestigious colleges in the country is dead smack in the middle of South Central Los Angeles. I grew up, about a half a mile from USC, from where the Coliseum used to be, but now they call it the Bank Center. Predominantly Crip neighborhood.
Did you go to elementary school right there?
Yeah. The first elementary school I went to was Menlo Street Elementary School. It's on 42nd and Menlo. Actually went there for about 3 days. I got kicked out. I went there for 3 days. I got kicked out.
Elementary?
Yeah, elementary school.
How did you get kicked out 3 days into elementary school?
I got kicked out because I hit my pregnant teacher in the stomach.
Damn!
No, I apologize. That's a messed up story. But I was a kid. I remember just my mother coming to pick me up, and I remember getting my ass whooped the whole way home because we actually lived right across the street from the school, right? And she came. I remember her getting me, and I just remember her being angry and whooping my ass all the way to the car. I got whooped while I was in the car. And then, her saying how hard it was to find a babysitter, and it's real hard for her. So I went there. It was my first elementary school. Then I went to Vernon. Is that Vernon Elementary? It's on Vernon and Normandy. Vernon and Normandy. I went to that school. Then I went to Weems Elementary. That's down the street from Fauché. I went there for a hot second.
My wife went to Weems.
Oh, she went to Weems? Your wife went to Weems? Okay.
And Fauché, yeah.
Okay, I went to Weems for a hot second. I didn't go to Fauché Middle School. I went to Weems for a hot second. For a few years, my mom had moved to Hollywood. So my 5th grade year, I graduated from Santa Monica Elementary School. I tell people that they don't believe me. Graduated from Santa Monica Elementary School.
How was you commuting there?
To Santa Monica? Yeah. Well, my mom had moved to Hollywood for a couple years. Yeah, she had got Section 8 and moved up there for a few years. And then the place we was living at, the owner canceled the contract for Section 8. And then she found a duplex in South Central, right back in the 40s, that accepted Section 8. So this time we wasn't in a little apartment, we was in a duplex with much more space, but in the same neighborhood. So that's when we came back, and I was in middle school, right? So we tried to get into Fauché, but Fauché, it was booked. So they had me on the waiting list, so they bused me to Bethune Middle School on the east side. So I went to Bethune. I ended up graduating from Bethune Middle School. And I went to Fremont High School for a week, and then I got kicked out of Fremont. They sent me to my home school, which is Manny Arts.
Oh, okay. And you graduated from Manny Arts?
No.
But that was where you ended your high school career at?
At Manual?
Yeah.
No.
So what happened?
No, I went to 4 high schools.
Oh, okay.
I kicked out for fighting. I got tall. I'm 6 foot now, but then I was like 5'3", 5'4". So I didn't finish at Manual. Actually, I got kicked out of Manual Arts, and the principal wanted to send me to Dorsey. But instead of sending me to Dorsey, I had an auntie that lived in Hollywood, right? So my mother used my auntie's address to get me into Fairfax. So I went to Fairfax for about a year and a half, close to 2 years, but not exactly 2 years. I got kicked out of Fairfax for fighting. And since I was an OT, they sent me back to Manual Arts. So I went back to Manual Arts. I got kicked out again for fighting the second time. I used another family member's address to go to Jefferson High School. I kicked out of Jefferson for fighting. I was at Jefferson for about 3 months. I made it there for a little while. And then after going to Jeff, they sent me back to Manual. Manual sent me to continuation. Got kicked out of continuation school for fighting. And I got homeschooled. I didn't finish there. I ended up going back some years later and got my GED.
I did the same with GED. I had to go back and get my GED too, bro.
Yeah.
But, so what was going? Why do you looking back now, bro? What was up with all the fighting, bro? It was gang banging, or what was it? Like people was just fucking with you?
I would say that it was a little mixture of all of the above. Of course, because I grew up in a predominantly Crip infested area. We had cliques and shit, and everybody was part of cliques, ended up turning Crips and all that later on. So have you. It was a mixture of that. I had a little man's complex. All of my friends was gangbangers. A lot of them started gangbanging or whatever. And I guess a lot of times you're guilty by association. I ain't act funny with homies because they start banging. You know what I mean? I think when I was in the 8th grade, I was trying to get put on the game, right? But back then we didn't have cell phones. We had landlines. And you could have 3 different phones in the house connected to the same number. So I remember talking about getting put on a Crip set, and what my name was gonna be. I'm on the phone chopping it up, and my mom heard it. Right? I didn't know she heard it. She was listening on the phone in the living room. So I go in there after I get off the phone to go get me something to drink out the kitchen. She's like half asleep, or at least I thought she was half asleep. Like, yeah, I don't want no gang members living in my house. I'm 13 years old at the time. I don't want no gang members living in my house. I'll look at her, and she's like half asleep. If you gang banging, you gotta get out my house. So, yeah, all right, mama, whatever, right? I'm in the 8th grade. Remember coming home from school at the time, and one of my friends, this dude that taught me about pocket checking and what different gang signs and things of that nature. He kind of like showed me the ropes, whatever. He gave me a blue rag. I remember having it on in school, and I had took it off, and I was on my way to the house. I thought I had put it all the way in my pocket, but it wasn't all the way in my pocket. She seen it, and she went off, man. She snatched me up and everything. I remember her telling me that I couldn't stay there, right? But it was her teaching me a lesson. I stayed at my grandmother's house for a little bit, for a couple of days. Then I stayed at my cousin's house, and then I stayed at one of my boys' house. So like at the end of the week, I was just begging her to come home. Like, Mama, I just want to come home. Let me come home. I don't want to do this shit, So she let me come back. It was a good lesson, I would say it held. It stuck with me, I would say, till about high school. Excuse me. Till about 10th, 11th grade, right? Yeah. So it was a mixture of all that stuff. The gang influence, being short, because I was a lot shorter. I'm 6 foot now, I'm saying. I was 5'3", 5'4" for a long time. And then getting pressed, at that time it was different. It wasn't no social media. It wasn't camera phones. Things was really word of mouth. You know what I mean? So you like kind of had to go outside to be popular. And it was more blacks at that time community. Like I could say that was like really like the ass end of the gang culture as far as like dudes actually living in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like you could hit different blocks and dudes be out. Now it's not like that. Like everything is gentrified. The communities is different. Even the way the street soldiers and everybody operate now, it's like it's real different. It's like it could be dudes that claim the neighborhood that you grew up in, but like they don't actually live over there. I've seen dudes like move over there for like 2 or 3 years and then start gangbanging. It's like weird. Like I literally grew up over there. Like my mom gave birth to me at Cedar-Sinai, right? Then she came home with me a few days later on 41st Street. So I was on 41st Street in Hoover between like Figueroa and Hoover Street on 41st. My great-grandmother had a house on 41st. My grandmother lived on 43rd. I had another cousin that lived on 40th. Like our family was just all in the 40s, you know. So, and then a lot of the dudes I grew up with, that's like in my age bracket and like older, you know, was all in the community. So it's like before the whole gang junction thing too, like dudes used to be deep. Now you can't, like they say you a gang if it's like 3 or more of y'all walking down the street or something like that. It's like, it's different. It's different. Like I said, I don't knock nobody for what they do because, you know, as of today, I'm a member of the Nation of Islam. And, you know, we all about, you know, bringing our blacks and browns together, you know, but it's just, it's different, man. Everything's on Front Street. Like you get into a fight with somebody now, somebody pulling out a phone and shit. Like when I was in high school and when I was growing up, it wasn't none of that. That shit was really like word of mouth. Like dudes really be like some popular lanes. Like you see dudes that be hella popular online. You know, they got a lot of followers and comments and views and shit. And you meet them in person, they be lame. They could be lame. Like, yeah, everybody at a function now just be on their phone.
Antisocial.
Yeah, super super antisocial on social media. And then they act like the pandemic did something. Like, okay, that's just good for introverts, you know. I don't know, man. This shit is weird now. It's so weird. A lot of dudes I got love for is like either in jail or dead, or you know, the ones that have made it through, you know, is doing something positive for themselves. I got a few homeboys that's doing for our community, you know, I mean for our section or whatever. And yeah, man, yeah, that's what it was for me.
You're one of those who made it through. Can you tell us, like, touch on how you feel like you were able to, you know, get out of that situation, bro, and now you're on some positive, you know, you're a family man.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, definitely a family man. I would say for me, man, boxing saved my life.
Boxing?
Yeah, boxing saved my life. I would say because, you know, the section of South Central I grew up in was predominantly a Crip neighborhood, right? And a lot of my family members is Crips, and a lot of my family members is from that neighborhood right there in particular. And I had 2 cousins that I looked up to and really respected. One was in jail all the time, and then the other one, I wanted to be up under his name, right? But I think his brother was like the last of that name, but I wanted the name. And he was like, nah, you know, we don't do more than 4. And he had other aliases, but I didn't like none of them damn names, you know. My cousin was like, well, why you just didn't use your name? I was like, I don't know. I really admired our other cousin so much, I wanted to be one of his names. But I was like really close with everybody anyway, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have to go that route, I guess, because, you know, everybody's gang banging, like my family and like friends I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, without me even having to say it, you know, you get labeled anyway. You feel me? Like your cousin's a gang banger, your close homeboy you grew up with is a Crip. Yeah, you feel me? Say like, well, shit, you one of them niggas. And I guess
damned if you do,
damned if you don't. So it's like, you know, I kick it with you all the time. Hell, if I'm walking to the store with you and something pop off, I'm gonna fight with my homeboys. You know, that's why I identify with. You feel me? So I would say for me, boxing really helped me a lot.
How did you find boxing, bro?
I got into boxing. I always wanted to box, right? But the thing is, my mama wouldn't put me in it because I was getting kicked out of school a lot. Her biggest fear was me learning the trade and actually killing somebody with my hands on the street. So she didn't want me to do that, right? I'm like, man, that's crazy. You know, it's a discipline thing, right?
Yeah.
So I got kicked out of all these schools. So when I was going to homeschool, when I was getting homeschooled, you know, you got to go in and pick your work up. So I was in Hollywood. I used to catch 2 buses up to Hollywood from my hood up to Hollywood, and about 2 blocks down from where I would go pick my work up and go get on the bus, I seen this boxing gym. My nickname's Wildcat, right? So I was walking past this building and it said Wild. I seen the Wild part. I was like, nigga, I'm Wild. And it said Card. I was like, oh, not Cat, Wild. It said Wildcard boxing gym. It was Freddie Roach's boxing gym, right? So this is at the time of right before Manny Pacquiao got with Freddie Roach, before Manny Pacquiao was known. You know what I'm saying? And I went up in there and I found that gym when I was like 17. right? But my mama wouldn't sign a waiver for me to train there. So Freddie Roach, he kicked me out the gym about 3 different times. I didn't get the waiver signed. Like you can't work out up in here unless you get your parents to sign just in case you get hurt or something so they won't get sued. I was like, damn, she wasn't messing with it. So I came back a year and a half later after I got put on probation. I caught a case at City Walk, the first time going to University City Walk. And Dad threw the case out, but the DA picked it up and refiled it after I was 18. So I was going to court all year and shit. So right before my 19th birthday, I started going to that boxing gym. And I've been in the boxing ever since. I came back, I remember where it was at. I was like, man, I used to catch 2 buses to come up here. And the white dude used to throw me out all the time. I didn't know it was his gym and who he was at the time, you feel me? But, you know, as I stayed in it and, you know, got past that learning curve and, you know, took my bumps and bruises to get to a level of skill that I'm at, you know, and actually learn about the craft and the history of boxing. I was like, oh, Freddie Roach is an important dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was at. Yeah. I didn't know I was at the best boxing gym in Southern California. I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know who he was at the time. And I was around Manny Pacquiao and a lot of them, the best fighters around the world, you know, at their beginning stages. Because at this time, the world didn't know who Manny Pacquiao was. I used to be around this dude all the time. He actually helped me learn how to hit the speed bag. Like when I was first starting out, he was just like a fucking machine to me. I was like, damn, dude, how did you hit the speed bag like that? He's a little man with a really big head. He's a little man, he has a big head, and he has big legs. Like his arms is little, his chest is little, but his lower part, the bottom half is huge. His damn legs is huge, bro. He had a big kickball head. His head is big too, but
supply all the power.
Yeah, the power is all in the legs, and he's one of the most humblest people you ever meet. Manny Pacquiao and the guy that was in MMA, Anderson Silva, the 2 most humblest fighters I ever met in my life. And I was at the Wildcard. Yeah, it's a video with Anderson Silva sparring one of my heavyweight friends back in 2008. And they had like documented his whole little experience coming up there in the boxing gym. And if you look at it ringside, you can see me clear as day. I'm talking to my boy who chopping, and I'm right there. And I ended up sitting on Spike TV. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I didn't know who he was. When I met him, he shook my hand. He bowed to me. He was real humble. Like the way he is outside the ring and the way he is in the ring is 2 totally different people. Extremely humble and extremely dangerous. So that let me know too, like, fighters come in all different shapes and sizes. You can't necessarily judge a person off appearance, right? And the most humblest people is the most dangerous people. Like, look at somebody like Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, how he's dressed outside of the ring. He looks fucking weird, like a soccer dad or something, or like he'll fix your air conditioner or your computer or something, right? But this motherfucker knocked everybody out. He had the highest knockout ratio since Mike Tyson. Extremely humble. Manny Pacquiao, extremely humble.
Come from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Most fighters do, I think, bro.
Yeah. And the dudes, you know, now, like, because I could read body language just by how a person stands, tells me a lot about them as far as this from here, right? And I look like, I look you up and down and like, okay, I already know what I'm gonna do to you. But it's like the ones that got too much bravado and feel like they got something to prove, they can't fucking fight because they're trying to scare you. Like, don't try to scare me. You're going to piss me off. But if you really don't know how to fight and I see a chance to take advantage of you, I'll take full advantage of you.
Yeah, you've seen the videos where it's like you know what I mean, like the hard-looking cholos getting beat up by like nerdy-looking white kids.
Yeah, getting their ass.
Because they know MMA, you know, or jiu-jitsu or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, once you know how to fight, it's like, come on, bro. It ain't really about, like, who's looking bad. It's like, okay, what can you do? Like, okay, you got the talk down, you got the gestures down and all that shit. That don't mean nothing.
Right.
Like, can you fight?
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you're doing, I'm going to hurt you bad. I don't show no love. Like, you try to throw your hands in my face, man. If I see a chance to take advantage of you, I'm going to take full advantage. I'm going to hurt you.
But, speaking, don't you you're a professional now, right?
Yes, sir.
So you got your hands registered?
Yes.
So they're considered deadly weapons?
Yes.
So, but in self-defense, you can use them, right?
Yeah. As long as As long as it's in self-defense, like if somebody threw the first punch at me and I defended myself. I mean, I had that happen a couple times before, but I would say I had more street fights as an amateur boxer than as a professional boxer. I think I only had to hit somebody like maybe once, and that's because somebody invaded my personal space. It's like we can agree to disagree, but don't get past arm's length or think you're gonna get in my face like that. Just I don't with that argument stuff. Like if I can't be diplomatic with you and we can't talk like civilized adults, and I have to put my hands on you, I'm gonna hurt you. You know, and I know I'm at a high level of skill, and I'm still an active fighter. So it's like, I mean, of course I just ruptured my Achilles tendon, but I mean I'm still an active fighter. It's like I could get in trouble. But like I said, like if you don't know what you're doing and you think you're gonna do me harm, if I see a chance to take advantage, I'm gonna take full advantage. Because your average dude is not working out like that, or if they are, they're not doing cardio, they're not throwing hands.
Stamina is trash.
Stamina is completely garbage, and a lot of these dudes don't know how to think in those type of situations. You got your adrenaline pumping, and you gotta know how to breathe. Can you take a punch? You know what I'm saying? This ain't no scuffle or think you about to dope feed me. This is what I do. I fight. That's my job. I get paid to fight. And people that's in combat sports, we're the most conditioned people on the planet, like boxers, MMA fighters, because we train year round. It's not like basketball or football where it's a team effort or nothing like that. Like we are the team, right? And then it's not a game. You don't play this. Like people actually died in the boxing ring. People actually died in the octagon in the cage. This is serious. Every time we step in the ring, we put our lives on the line. So you got to be conditioned. So for us, we constantly working out. I think the only day I don't work out is like Sunday. And even with a ruptured Achilles tendon, I'm still doing pull-ups, push-ups, crunches, dips. I'm still doing the whole nine. And I do like intervals of minute workouts, and I do repetition. So I might do 100 push-ups and do 3 sets of push-ups for 1 minute at a time.
Did you always have a discipline, bro, or this came later on, like as you started taking it serious and stuff like that?
Well, I would say I always had discipline as far as like the working out and the fighting part, because I like to fight and I like to work out, right? But the discipline came with not taking it outside of the ring, right? Because I always had street fights prior to boxing. But when I started boxing, I learned how to sit down on my punches. So I went from just dropping people to knocking them out cold. So I'll be in the gym, I learned some cool shit and fight a real good fighter, like a known fighter in the country or something. And then be in the streets, and like I wouldn't start it, but I would instigate it. Like somebody step on your shoes or something like that. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I know it's your bad. Something like that. Or I'll look at a person a little longer. Fuck you looking at? Oh, I'm looking at nothing, nigga. You're absolutely nothing. To instigate the fight. It's like I won't start it, but I hype it up so it could be something, so I could try out something I just learned. You feel me? And I would get in trouble for that. I remember Freddie Roach had banned me from the gym for like a month. I would come in there with my knuckles swole. I had fractures in both hands for beating up people on the street. And that's when I was an amateur. You know what I mean? And come to find out, like, it set me back. It did more harm to me than good, because I could have turned pro years ago. But I got set down from like having fractures. Fractures in your hands take longer to heal than if you broke your hand, So, yeah, if it's one thing, I had to learn was the discipline behind that, because everybody can't take an ass with it. I've been jumped and shot at for just beating up people on the street. It's like, that shit is a headache, man. It's like, now if I can avoid it, I will, because I'm at a high skill level, and I know what I'm capable of, and I'm just like, damn, you don't want this, bro. Like
use it for good.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, I'm good. This is how I make my living with my hands.
Can you tell me about Fight Life
Fit? My brand, my nonprofit. This is originally it was my clothing brand, and I converted it to a nonprofit organization. It's called Fight Life Fit. We have a YouTube channel, it's Fight Life Fit TV. We have an Instagram page, it's Fight Life Fit. And basically what it is, it's a source of encouragement for anybody that's dealing with any afflictions, and it's inclusive to everybody, just saying that we're all fighters on one level or another, right? So when I say it's a source of encouragement for anybody fighting any afflictions, you could be fighting a drug addiction, you could be fighting to overcome a tobacco addiction, a crack addiction, you could be fighting to overcome cancer, or helping somebody you know that's fighting to overcome cancer or then lost somebody to the fight against cancer. It's all inclusive, so it's Fight Like Fit. The motivation behind this, behind the boxing gloves wrapped around the cancer ribbon, is because I lost my mother to cervical cancer in 2018. When I was an amateur boxer, I used to beg for her to come to my fights. She didn't come to none of my amateur fights, but she did come to my second professional boxing match when I fought at the West End Bonaventure Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. And shortly after that, I said about 9 months later, she passed away from cervical cancer. So, yeah, Fight Like Fit is in honor of my mother and honor of people fighting affliction, not just cancer related, but in all walks of life. We're all fighters. Everybody's a fighter in one shape, form, or fashion, whether they want to admit it or not. We're all fighters, everybody. So the goal is to fight like fit. You know, what you intake, what you listen to, whatever you do, just try to do it to the best of your abilities. And when it get hard, just keep pushing through, keep fighting.
Okay, thank you for watching Hot Hands to the Gusto. Word, peace!